Hello and welcome to another episode from the water's edge. Today you catch up with us on part 2 of our cod quest. We're back down at Aldeburgh Town Beach in Suffolk, and hopefully today we'll get a codling on camera for you. Now if you watch our channel before, you realise we came down back in November and unfortunately it wasn't much of a cod quest. We got absolutely battered by whiting. We're back down again today. We've got similar conditions. I'd have liked to see the sea a little bit rougher than it is, but you can't have it every way. The reason we came down today is because we've got some real big tides. Now we have, for the past 3 or 4 days, as many people know around the country, we've been battered by big tides and strong winds. Now we looked through at the forecast and we had a small break. So we picked it out today and everything looked good. We had planned originally to head up Norfolk and have a go for some flatfish, but that's something, you know, we can sort of do at any time. So we thought we'd come down and make the most of the conditions and see if we can get a fish or two. Now we're at the start of January now, and we've travelled down. We travelled down this morning. We've got high water about 1:30 and it's now about 12 o'clock. So we've got about an hour and a half before high water, which is when hopefully we might pick up a fish or two. If not, we'll hopefully catch some on the ebb. Now the ebb tide, I haven't really fished much down here on that tide, so I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know necessarily which tide will fish better, but the only way we're ever going to find out is if we come and give it a go. So that's what we've done. We've got 2 rods now fishing at the moment. They've been out for about 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm now going to wind one of them in, just check the bait situation, the crab situation, the little fish situation, just see how it's started. So we'll do that now, and then we'll come back and we'll show you a little bit more about the baits we've got with us and the rigs we're using. So we'll see you in a second. Well, that's the first rod in. There's no time to put a fresh bait, and as you see there, as I mentioned before, I had a spare rig ready and baited, clipped on the tripod. So you see there, I was out of the water for a limited amount of time and I've got 2 rods fishing again. So the same as before really. The rig, very simple, pulley pennel rig. I've got the 2 Frio hooks like that, the top one sliding, so that just goes in the top of the lugworm bait. If you haven't seen it before, you can watch it on our other video. There'll be a link up in this corner now, so if you click on that you'll be able to see all the details on it. We've got the same pulley pennel and the same impact lead. That's the 6-ounce version again because we've got a big tide. 6 ounce helps you cast the extra few yards and really grips in nicely on the bottom. The baits we've got with us today, once again we've got the common lugworm. Now I had someone ask us a question on the previous video, are these what they referred to as blow lug? And yeah, that is all they are, standard. I mean, around Norfolk we don't tend to get, you know, the real big fresh blacks or yellow tails. It all from the local tackle shop, but it tends to be 99% of the time the blow lug. So that's what we've got with us. And also what we have got is we've got something which a lot of you have seen before, is squid. Now this is frozen squid. It's now in the process of defrosting. It's what they call dirty squid or unwashed squid. So it's not been cleaned. It's not something you buy off the fish counter. This is proper bait for fishing really. So for this rig, I'm just going to go with standard lugworm. We'll perhaps try squid as a session progresses, but what we'll do is we'll bait up now. Once again, you want to pick the size bait you want to fish. So say if you're going to go for something about so long, a couple of quick turns, you see that top hook's locked in place, and I will start to bait up. You just thread the worms round, follow the hook over the knot, and then this top hook just nicks in that worm like so. Another one we'll probably get, I like to fish normally 3 to 4 worms as a bait. You know, some people say that's perhaps excessive, but as I said previously, the bait is really the only thing you've obviously got out there to attract the fish, so I don't like to scrimp on my bait. That's the third one. One more. That's the fourth. Once again, I'd just like to nip that tail off, and there you go, that's the bait. And then it just clips on the red impact lead, so you nick that on like so. Got a perfect cod bait there. So we'll hang this one up, and then what we'll do is we'll take a look at the second rod and see what the bait situation's like on that. Just winding that second rod in, and before, if you watched our previous video, you'll have seen what was probably one of the smallest whiting in the world. Well, I think we may have beaten it this time. Now, once again, you look at the size of that bait and the size of the fish, and that is crazy. But we'll get him unhooked and get him back. I mean, he was a perfect size live bait, but look at that, perfection in miniature. We'll get him back and get another rig ready. Get the other rig clipped on and cast out. What I'm going to have to do is now the tide's running quite hard, I'm going to have to leapfrog the rod. So the first rod I put out will now go on the other side of the tripod, and we'll cast this one up tide. I actually think it's now starting to go the other way, so just move it, and then we'll get this one out, so we've got 2 fish in the game. Once again, it's not really a need to cast massive distances. I suppose we're lobbing it between 80 and 100 yards perhaps, but we're in some deep enough water there. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing we've probably got 20 foot, something like that, so it should be okay. But we'll get it out there, and then we'll get that spare rig done. Let a little bit of line out, take the rod up to the rest, and get it sorted. Both rods fishing now. So as I said, we'll sort the rig out, and I think it's probably about time for a cuppa. So we'll see you in a second. That wind and back in the shelter. It's a real strong southerly. I mean, you might be able to hear it on the camera there, but the problem with that is that the tide has turned, so at the moment we've actually got the wind and the tide pushing together, so that means the lines, they're really hanging out to the left hand side there. But it should be okay. We're just making sure we cast a long way up tide, let plenty of line out. and they seem to be holding okay. One thing that you want to do as well is, if you got your lead, if you find that it's tripping out easy, you can just tighten them up, and all you do is you nip them 2 bits there, put some extra pressure on, and that'll just grip that little bit better. But as yet, no codling. We've had a couple of little whiting now, so what I might do is we might have a little go with the squid we've got with us. So I'll show you how I like to go about baiting that up. There's a few ways you can do it, and there's a few ways you can use squid, but there's one way where you can present a real big interesting bait to the fish. Now obviously, first of all, you'll notice, take all your old bait off. You see there, stripped all that old lug off, chuck that back, and you see it's no good. It just creates a mush around the hook, and if anything, you might think it's doing you a favour, but it's actually not. You've got more chance of missing bites and missing fish if the hook points are masked. So that's where to start. So you set them about so far apart, and we'll bait up with this squid. Now, as I said, we've got the unwashed squid. There's a couple of different sorts. I think this is just standard calamari, but you'll see it there. Everyone probably knows what a squid looks like. You got the head. Now the head can be a great bait. You can just pull it off, and that there is a perfect bait to tip your lug with. You know, you can fish it in half. You get a bit of movement there with the tentacles. I mean, you can even use a hull squid like so. Rig it on your pennels, your top hook and your bottom hook, and that's a great bait for all manner of fish. You know, bass, codling, skate, you know, smooth hound, anything will pick it up. But what I like to do, put that head down there, is you've got your main body now. So just get my board and my knife. Now what I like to do is just, you'll see there's all the guts and stuff in there, so you just want to push all them out. You can do that if you just drag the back of the knife along the squid and work it with your fingers. I mean, this doesn't help, they're still a little bit frozen, these ones, but it's now coming out. So there you go, there's just like the guts and stuff, I suppose, of squid, and they have like this translucent, I don't know if it's a bone or whatever, but you want to get that out as well, and then you're left with a nice soft fleshy bit of squid. Now some people would take all this, the dark sort of skin off. I don't bother, I leave it on there, you know. And then all I like to do is, you've got in theory here like a squid skirt. So now I like to sort of, if you lay the hooks alongside and you roughly work out how big your squid is, so you fish them about that far apart. So I'll wrap that round there, and then with the bottom hook I nick it in the squid, and thread it through. So now this hook is coming through the main body of the squid. Just push it over the knot, and there you'll see you've got the squid skirt is on the line. I'll move this out of the way. Now what I like to do is you leave it dangling like so. I then like to thread my worms on, so same as before. We'll probably get 3 with the squid. We'll probably just put the 3 worms on this time. So now we've got the 3 worms on there and the squid. Now what you can do is as you'll see there, that squid is now encased them worms. So have you got a day when there's lots and lots of crabs about, or if you just simply want to use a big bait, them worms you give them worms the extra 5 or 10 minutes fishing time, because whatever comes to want to get the worm, they've got to go through the squid. It toughens it up. You see there's a nice neat case. Now obviously you're going to say to me, that's all just going to slop down at the bottom end of the hook and be a big mess. But what you need to do is, if you get some elasticated cotton and you just simply whip the squid on. I mean, you don't want to mummify it, you just want a good wrap round. Then simply a case, just snap it off, and there you'll see you've got your squid parcel with your worms running through. Now this top hook, as I say, we wrapped it round, we'll just have to adjust it slightly. 2, 3 times, nick it through. There you go, that's one way of fishing your squid. Now as you'll see, you have got your worms running inside it, but they're protected by that squid. You've got 2 lots of smell coming off it. It's a nice compact package, it's streamlined, and it's going to cast really well. So that's one way of fishing the squid. We'll probably chuck this out next go. I mean, what you can even do is, as well, is obviously the squid had the head on. You can always just add that to it if you want. Personally, I don't like to. I just like to keep this hook point exposed. But we'll clip this on. And there you go. That's a big squid lugworm bait ready to go. So we'll hang this up, and then what I'll do is, or actually before we hang it up, I'll lay that down ready to go. Now that's one way of presenting. As I said, you can already, you know, put the whole squid on and don't worry about the worms, but I always like the added centre lugworm. But another way, obviously, it's another squid body here, the classic way of doing it. Rather than mess about with big knives, just to get yourself a decent pair of scissors, and just simply cut some squid rings, then cut them in half and just fish a normal squid strip. You can tip that to your worm baits. Cut another one off here. Obviously you can cut it the size you want. So there's your little squid ring from the body. Nick the ring, and there you go. Now what that does is, if you add that to your worm, one, it's going to give it a bit of extra movement, because that's going to pick up in the tide. 2, you've obviously got the added smell, and 3, you've got the added colour. So just tipping your baits can sometimes bring you that extra fish, and obviously put that bit of extra scent in the water. So there's a couple of different ways to present your squid bait. As today we're cod fishing, and because I'm a bit of an animal, I want to go with a big squid wrap. So a pair of 3/0 hooks, nice big bait, will hopefully equal a nice big fish. So let's get it out there now. The wind has really picked up now, but I'll just show you another fish on that squid sausage we put out, and once again another whiting. Now that squid and the worm weighs more than the size of that fish, but it just goes to show you, I know I keep banging on about it, but don't be shy about the size of your baits. You see him there, he's just lip hooked, he's come in and had a go at it. But not what we're after, but another little fish. We'll get him back and then we'll get another squid sausage out there. Well, I'm pretty glad we've got this shelter up now. the wind, and what seems like a storm is really closing in now. The wind has picked up no end, and you'll see out there's some fairly hefty waves rolling in. You'll probably hear the wind on the camera. The tripod's now been over one, so we just added a bag of stones on that to hopefully keep it down. And at the moment there's still no codling being caught. We've had lots of little whiting again, but they've been the same size, the ones I've shown you on camera, you know, really small fish. So I just grabbed a cup of coffee and in the shelter really at the moment. But we're now starting to lose the light as well, so I don't know how much longer in honesty we're going to give it, because I think after dark it's going to be a real problem. And generally as well, you tend to find if you get a real strong southerly wind, it doesn't tend to drop at night the same way as, you know, a westerly might do. And we've got some real grueler conditions now, but we're going to sit it out for, I don't know, perhaps another hour, something like that, see how it goes. The beach is now deserted as well. There was a couple of anglers fishing further up towards the town and a couple up towards the tower there, but they've all gone, and it's the From the Water's Edge boys are the only ones left. But we'll see what we can do anyway, you never know. That looks more of a cod sea now, but it's hard work. But we'll keep battling away, and hopefully we'll see you again in a second with a fish. Why do we do it? Well, I thought I'd just show you a couple of fish, as once again, as we had in the last video, something quite unusual. We've got two fish on the same pennel rig. Now, I guess what's happened there is this little fish has come in first and whited a predatory fish, and I guess this bigger chap has had a swipe at him and hooked himself as well. But you'll see the size difference. I mean, he'll think nothing of having to go for something that size. They've got big mouths, and that appears to be what's happened here. But what we'll do is we'll get him unhooked, we'll get him back in the water, and we'll get another bait out. It really is grim out there now, but we can just about hold out okay, so we might give it another few chucks as yet, you never know. But little and large, we'll get them back. Well, they say fortune favours the brave. Well, today, whoever came up with that one is a liar, because it certainly doesn't. We've got a real strong southerly now. It's almost impossible to fish, to be honest with you. The tripod's blowing about, the shelter's blowing about. There's some real big waves rolling in, and it's just become a complete nightmare. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to get these rods in, and we're going to head home. Now, unfortunately, I know this is part 2 of the cod quest, and we haven't brought you any cod, but you know, from the Water's Edge, we like to show you, you know, how it is, and I'm sure thousands of sea anglers out there will appreciate, you know, the fish just aren't there, and you know, if they're not there, you simply can't catch them. But we won't give up. We'll certainly be back, and I'm sure before the winter's out, we'll have a Codling on camera for you. So I'd just like to say, as usual, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one. Everyone was wondering what the sound was. It was my rod being blown from the tripod, and I've just about had enough now. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.